It's no secret to anyone looking at me right now that I'm a Latino man, but I have a dark secret. I'm half white. Grappling with my biracial identity is sort of like a weird thing for me. Not in like the stereotypical sense where it's like I'm not white enough for white people or I'm not Mexican enough for Mexicans. Because white people love me, guys. I'm a white man's brown man. White people especially love me because I came to this country the right way, and that is through a white woman's vagina. Hail. I just lied to all of you. My mom actually had a C-section for me. I just thought it would sort of be a bad look if people found out that Mexicans were also hopping the uterine wall. Thank you for laughing at that joke. I've had a bad day and I needed it. I've had a bad day because I drank 64 ounces of orange juice and I feel not good. I was thirsty, so I went to my local grocery store, and in their orange juice section, they had 16 ounces, they had 32 ounces, and then they had 64 ounces of orange juice. And like our good friend Goldilocks, my hubris had no limits, so I got 64 ounces. And the worst part of it was $20. Like I had already swiped my card when the cashier went, that'll be $21.80, and like in slow-mo, I went, what? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, surely he did not need all 64 ounces of orange juice to quench his thirst. No, the first 16 ounces of orange juice did the trick. The next 48 ounces, I drank purely for the love of the game. I started feeling bad, so I Googled how many pounds are in 64 ounces of orange juice. It's 4 pounds. 4 pounds is equal to 32 oranges. When I went home, I laid down on my bed and I was out of breath. And I was like, why am I out of breath? It's because I drank half a newborn baby's worth of orange juice. If I ate half of a newborn baby in front of all of you, you would scream. 1, because that is scary. 2, because that is too much baby. If I had a time machine, I would go back in time, find a bunch of pirates, and I'd be like, take this away from me. And then they'd take me on a bunch of little adventures. How many coyotes could I take in a fight? Thank you for asking. I could take 2 coyotes in a fight, I think, in a fist fight. That's all I have for that joke. I was gonna be like a big one. I was really excited to write that. But when I went on a walk to write it, I was on a walk in my neighborhood, and then 2 coyotes came out of a bush, and I was like, I was kidding. It was a joke. So then I backtracked to let the coyotes pass, and as they passed me, they also passed this other woman, and the woman started yelling at them, and she was like, go, shoo, get on out of here, scram. And then she came up to me, and she was like, are those your dogs? I wonder what life like her is like. She sees an episode of Game of Thrones where Peter Dinklage is giving a masterful performance, and she's like, ooh, that little boy's such a good actor. She trips over a pebble, and she's like, oh, that boulder was scary. She sees an old black New Orleans jazz musician, and she's like, that's the cutest cat in America. Thank you guys for coming out. I love doing stand-up comedy. I love doing stand-up comedy because I get to plan out what I have to say. Because when I talk to people in normal, everyday life, I make a lot of oopsies. I make a lot of mistakes. For example, one time in college, I was playing Madden NFL with my best friend Nick, and we were shit-talking each other. He looked at me and he was like, you fucking suck dick, bitch. And so I retorted, I leaned over, I looked him in the eyes, and I said, do you want to fucking fight me, big boy? Or at least that's what I wish I would have said. I did not say that. What I actually said to him was, do you want to fuck me, big boy? And then the room got really quiet. And then he and I had sex. Have you guys ever fucked up your words so badly that you have to be gay? It's liberating. Another similar story to that. The other day, my friend texted me a picture of her baby, but I was driving, so I responded using voice to text, and I went, look at that grown ass baby. But my phone put a comma between ass and baby. So the text just read, look at that grown ass, baby. You guys ever hit on a married woman in a group chat with her husband? It's liberating. Okay. This one's a ride. I used to sleep naked so that ghosts wouldn't haunt me. This was like when I was a kid. My thought process was that like a ghost would come in the room and he'd be like, ooh, and then he'd see a naked 12-year-old boy and he's like, this is not who I am. And like as an adult now, looking back on it, I realized that thinking was flawed because a naked 12-year-old boy would only just attract scarier ghosts. Like when good old Jeff Epstein died, I was like, oh shit, I dodged a bullet. And then one day, Chris Hansen will die, and all the naked little boys will be safe. Ghosts were my biggest fear as a child. As an adult, my biggest fear is making women afraid of me. By making women afraid of me, I don't mean like, I'm gonna get you. I mean I'm really afraid of making women think that I'm in love with them. Because, ladies, let's be honest for a second. At one point in all of your lives, you've had a guy friend come up to you and go, can I talk to you for a second? Disgusting. And I used to do that shit all the time. So what I started subconsciously doing is at parties, I would code switch into a gay accent so women are comfortable around me. And let me tell you guys, stolen gay valor is maybe my guilty pleasure of the century. That shit fits me like a glove. The only two requirements for being gay are you have to be good at talking to women and you have to be funny. And honey, if those are the only two requirements, I'm the gayest man in town. That's what I think gay people sound like. I recently got catcalled for the first time. Ladies. No cheers for catcall? I was at a comedy show, and this female comedian started roasting the audience. So I was in the front row, and she locked in on me, and she went, "You big fat nerd, I'll suck your dick." Jesus Christ. Let's analyze what she said to me, okay? First, she said, big. Yeah, I'm a big guy. I can afford to lose a few pounds. Then she said fat. We're being redundant. Next, she said nerd. Just because I look like a nerd, does that mean that I am one? Yeah. Yes. She then went on to say, I'll suck your dick, which is sending me mixed messages, if we're being honest. And it's not even that I was particularly offended that she said all this. I was just caught off guard. Because usually when people say they want to suck your dick, you like have an idea that it's coming. Knock, knock, hello? Yes, I'm your new neighbor. I baked you this pie and I want to suck your dick. It doesn't happen like that. It was jarring. And I've got a confession to make. That's not all that she said. There was more to that. She did say, you big fat nerd, I'll suck your dick. But she prefaced it all with, you look 17. Oh. So if you're following along at home, she said to me, and I quote, you look 17, you big fat nerd, I'll suck your dick. A confusing story in 3 acts. And in her defense, there was like a lot of context and a lot of nuance to like the entire show, which like explains why she said that. But in her offense, what the fuck? So if you guys know any who love to suck dick, send them my way. Now that we're getting down and dirty, I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit of story. I'm gonna tell you guys a story about the first time I ever got a hand job. I was in the back of my 2001 Crown Victoria with my high school sweetheart. She was giving me the old 1-2. I was nibbling on her here. We were going to town. And we were going, when all of a sudden she screamed, ow, and blood started gushing out of her ear. And that's because right when I orgasmed, I sucked on her ear so hard that I burst her eardrum. I guess you could say, she didn't hear me coming. My name's Alejandro Rios. Have a good night, everybody.